This is Michael Popok, and by the looks of things, it's time for Legal AF After Dark. Is Donald Trump going to come up with that bond to stop the forced sale and seizure of his assets on Monday by the New York Attorney General, who's just trying to execute on her $465 million plus bond running with interest that she obtained on behalf of the people of the state of New York because Donald Trump committed persistent fraud in his business practices for the last 10 years. But Donald Trump is trying every which way to avoid putting up any money. He's claimed he's financially destitute. He's claimed he can't get the bond. He's claimed there's no bonding companies that will bond him. He claims he can't get a letter of credit from a bank. By the way, people are considering putting this guy back into the White House. All right, in any event, we break it down, including recent filings, late filings by Donald Trump, in which he submits affidavits, statements under oath, in order to support his argument that I don't have the money and I can't get the bond. One of the people that he submitted the affidavit for is involved with the fraud. It was already adjudged by Judge Engoron to be a part of it. That's the general counsel for the Trump organization. And then he submitted the affidavit of his golfing buddy, literally, to say, we looked everywhere, under everything. We can't find a bond. Is this going to work? Tune into Legal AF, we tell you now.
There's nothing that he won't say or do to try to get out of things and try to duck accountability, right? And here he's going to the appellate division in New York and basically trying to act like he's indigent. He's basically saying that despite being a purported billionaire, that he is unable to figure out a way to find cash in order to post this bond. And, we'll talk about it in the show, how New York Attorney General Letitia James filed a surreply earlier in the day, which is what I thought she should do. And not only did she point out that everybody in Donald Trump's latest effort to try to avoid making this payment, all the declarations are from the exact same witnesses who Justice Engoron found to be not credible at all and just complete and utter liars. But, this declaration that was filed by New York Attorney General Letitia James' team talks about Trump hasn't even talked about the steps that you would go about taking. Like, if you're a billionaire, you should have the means to figure out how to post this bond. And there are other corporations, real companies, that have been able to post bonds like this before. You can assemble a tower of multiple sureties. You don't just have to go to one surety to assume all of the risk. Like, there's a whole plethora of options, and Trump's just saying, yeah, I'm above the law. I shouldn't have to do this. I tried. Sorry, now I'm poor, and therefore I should just be relieved from my obligations here. So, we're right there, as you call it. It's D-Day. There's one other observation that I thought was an interesting one. So the money that Donald Trump ended up getting from Fred, where there was a lot of accusations of his wrongdoing from his father, the ultimate irony is that number's right around $500 million, which is almost the exact same amount of money that he can't come up right now with the cash for. He was given that cash by his dad. He can't come up with that cash to post a bond.
You start with dust and you end with dust. There's a lot of bookends that you and I have followed in the law. Lena Haba's first case with Donald Trump may be one of her last cases.
Wow.
And we did a hot take on that because of something that she did that was underhanded in trying to get a settlement reached in a sex harassment case. But it's just, you're right. The cosmic gods and irony, there we go there. We'll just touch on it here for a minute. Alina Habba befriended on purpose, fake befriended a server at Bedminster Golf Course when all she was trying to do was curry favor with Donald Trump and convince him as her first tryout that she could get a case settled. But she did it in an underhanded fashion. It violated her bar rules and ethics. And based on a settlement that's not really even a settlement that was entered into, she is fair game to be sued for fraud, and that means she's going to have to self-report that case to if she hasn't already, to the New Jersey bar, which regulates in this area, and she'll have to explain why she sent text messages to a person claiming that she was her friend when she was really working for Donald Trump to try to get her to take a lowball settlement. But that's what we're dealing with. Let me return though to the Manhattan DA to the D-Day. We kind of skipped around a little bit, which is good. Keeps us on our toes, our producer, and our audience. So on the D-Day for Donald Trump, there are a number of things he could have done besides going to the press and filing papers that says that he's the equivalent of being financially destitute, in the sense that he can't match his judgment with an equivalent amount of assets or money. There's many things he could have done, which are all pointed out in a nice package by the New York Attorney General in their paper. He filed something irregular anyway, because in his last paper is not where that you file with the court. Your last brief is not where you are supposed to raise new issues and file new affidavits with the appellate court at all. But he did. So of course, Letitia James's office had to say, we need a reply to the reply. And in our business, it's called a SUR, S-U-R reply. And in that SUR reply, proposed anyway, because they have to get it approved to be filed, they said, okay, first of all, let's put aside for a minute that the two people that filed affidavits are completely unqualified in the area of finding bonds, have never been qualified as an expert in that area, and the judge has already questioned their credibility and called them out for a lack of credibility because they also testified in the 13-week New York Attorney General case. Put that aside for a minute. Put aside for a minute, the New York Attorney General said that one of the two people that filed their affidavit actually participated in the fraud. That's the general counsel for Donald Trump, Alan Garten. Put that aside for a minute. Where is the credible evidence that they went to any? Where are besides just a list in a footnote of 20 or 30 bonding companies? Where is the on oath, the sworn testimony of somebody with knowledge about what was the assets that were offered to be pledged by Donald Trump? What were their value? Why was it rejected? Where are the rejection letters? Where are the affidavits from the surety companies, from the bonding companies, from the banks, from the people that you went to, for the people that rejected you, that you claim to have been rejected by? Where are they? And they're nowhere because it didn't happen. And so they just wanted to take our word for it, Your Honors of the Appellate Division, First Department. We tried really hard to get a really big, fat bond. There's also no discussion of what's called syndication, which is you take a bond or a loan, and because no one bonding company or lender wants to be on the hook for the total amount, over $600 million, you syndicate it. They take pieces. Lloyd's of London takes $100 million, and Swiss Re takes $100 million, and Chubb, which already put up $100 million in the E. Jean Carroll case for Donald Trump, they take $100 million, and you put it all together, and you got $600 million, and you spread the risk. This bonding expert, Mr. Gialetti, down in Palm Beach, is a golfing buddy of Donald Trump, literally, and has made over $1 million in commissions off of Donald Trump. So an unbiased person he is not. He never talked about we attempted to syndicate the bond. And what about the opportunity, which they never took, to have gone back to Judge Engoron and said to him, here are deeds to 5 or 6 properties, free and clear, that are worth over $600 or $700 million. Here's Mar-a-Lago with an appraisal from a legitimate company. Here's 40 Wall Street. Here's my triplex. You hold them, Judge. We'll pledge the assets in lieu of a bond. You hold them. And if I win on appeal, I get the deeds back. If I lose on appeal and I don't pay the judgment, you give the deeds to the other side. He didn't attempt to do that. And so the question is, we're running out of time here. By the time you and I come back on Saturday for the Saturday edition of this show, he's going to be T-minus 48 hours from Letitia James sending out the sheriff to padlock his property and start seizing it and selling it at sheriff's sale, including the bank accounts. Oh, by the way, as another comment, where's Barbara Jones, the monitor who knows where all of the bank accounts are and knows where all the real estate is and their values? Where is her affidavit? Nowhere to be found. And so by the time we reach Saturday, he's either going to have to go hat in hand to some quote unquote wealthy friends to go raise the $600 million. He's going to have to sell something, or he's going to have to beg the court to pledge his deeds. But right now, I don't even see movement by the appellate court. They're not even treating this like an emergency, even though they've asked, the Trump side has asked for it to be treated as an emergency. Where's the emergency hearing? Nowhere. Now, we might have one between now and Saturday, but as of right now, Donald Trump is staring down the barrel of this judgment with nowhere to pay it. What do you
Well,
think?
let's not forget when it came to Donald Trump posting the $83.3 million bond in the E. Jean Carroll case, and he ultimately got the surety Chubb to post that bond. But Trump lied. Let's just say the word. He lied and told the court that he couldn't find it. And the court said, well, I don't care. Federal Judge Lewis Kaplan says, not my problem. This is your fault, the way you've conducted yourself, not going through the diligence, not providing the evidence. Good luck. That's what the appellate division should do as well. In the E. Jean Carroll case, Donald Trump managed to come up with it and figure out a way to do it. And he should either have to, he should be treated like the rest of us. None of us would get special treatment at all. And Trump's not asking for, regular treatment. He's asking for to be treated specially here. And he wants to brag about how he has all of this cash when he's on Fox and on right-wing media when he's doing his rallies. And then in court, he wants to basically cite the case law for indigent people who file appeals. It's absolutely absurd. Just a procedural note as well, and this is one of the aspects of Trump not following the rules. Like, in addition to the fact that he doesn't file a scintilla of actual evidence that you all list, what he always tries to do is in the reply, which is supposed to be the last word, where you're not allowed to interject, or as Trump would say, interpose new facts and new information. It's just supposed to basically round out and respond to any arguments that may be made in the opposition. Trump always uses the reply as a way to basically treat it as a new motion, which is just patently improper. All of the arguments that he was making in the reply that was filed earlier this week, that should have been made in the opening appellate brief that was filed with the appellate division. That's one of the things that New York Attorney General Letitia James requests and points out and says, look, he didn't follow the right procedure, so you should strike it. Let's start with that. Just strike it and rule against them. But if you're going to entertain that, then you can accept our Sir reply, which has all of the arguments that you recounted, Michael Popok, about why it's improper, how he relies on people who already have credibility issues, and how the evidence simply is not there. I go back to what Justice Engoron said in the opening days when he ultimately appointed the monitor, Barbara Jones, retired federal judge. And Goron said, Trump has not shown a scintilla of evidence. I'm talking about the preliminary injunction that was, over a year ago, plus almost dating back 2 years ago. That's the issue. And what you and I always talk about here on Legal AF and in our hot takes is show us the evidence. Put forward a declaration that has all the data that Michael Popok and I are used to seeing in filings like this, and then we can, Popok and I will talk about that, and we'll go through the declaration, say, hey, Trump put forward this evidence, and it's compelling or not compelling. Trump doesn't do that, and then he whines when he loses that he's being treated unfairly, but he's simply not doing what every litigant does.
Well, let me comment on that or reinforce what you're saying. As a New York lawyer practitioner, I was shocked by the paucity of information and the sheer size of these declarations. This is a guy who's staring down the barrel of what has to come up with $600 million to post against this bond, this judgment. And the best he can do is his golf buddy down in Florida, who says nakedly, without any support or any attachments, any exhibits, any correspondence attached to it, I tried, can't get it. I mean, this, and then using his own general counsel, because he's so cheap, using his own general counsel, despite the fact that general counsel was involved with the fraud in the New York Attorney General case, to say it's really hard. Banks don't like to give letters of credit based on real estate. Yeah, where is the bank's affidavit? So I'm thinking, you gotta be kidding me. This is what you throw? You and I would tip our hat if we saw an appropriate package of material, a raft of material that was supplied by Donald Trump in the last month, that he developed with, we spoke to this bank and this bank and this bank, and here's what they said, and here's what they said. We pledged this and that. It doesn't exist because they didn't do it. And instead they want to get away with, as you said, with this sort of this just cursory, naked allegations unsubstantiated by lawyer argument. It's really shocking. I can't put it any other way. It's shocking. Unless he's just planning. I read the New York Post today, and they speculated based on who knows what sources that Trump actually is okay and has considered the reality that assets start getting sold and seized on Monday, but he'll get them back. Okay, news flash for Donald Trump. If those properties are sold through a sheriff's sale and they're sold to what we call a bona fide purchaser, a BFP in the law, who takes the deed and owns it, even if you reverse and the money goes to the New York Attorney General for the people of the state of New York to pay the judgment, even if you were successful in reversing it and proving that the judgment was wrong or it should be reduced on appeal, even if you're successful, you're not getting the building back. It's sold to a BFP. You'll get the cash back, but you're not going to get 40 Wall Street back. So I can't even believe even Donald Trump thinks that, I'll just let her sell it. I'll get it back later. That can't be true. All right. Well, that was a clip from a show that we do called the Legal AF Podcast. Yes, the title means exactly what you think. Every week we pull together 4 or 5 of the top developments at the intersection of law and politics, and we bring it to you in podcast format, just like that one. Wednesdays, it's with Karen Freeman Agnifilo, former prosecutor, and me. Saturdays, it's with me and Ben Meiselas, founder of Meidas Touch Network. If you know all about Legal AF and you're already a fan or part of our audience, we really appreciate you. Can't tell you how much. Well, I am telling you how much. We really appreciate you. Take that clip then, send it off to people in your life and say, hey, you know that show I like, Legal AF? Here's a clip, and maybe they'll join our audience. If you have no idea what I'm talking about or who I am, I'm Michael Popok. That was Legal AF. And if you liked what you saw, multiply it by 5 twice a week, and you'll kind of get the hint of where we're going. And in hot takes just like this one. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the Meidas Touch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.